Hey guys, welcome to the 45th C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at the typedef or type-defined keyword. And the type-defined keyword will basically just allow you to create an alternate name for a type. So let's just say that we were working with unsigned long-longs a lot in our project, and instead of having to write out unsigned long-long every time we want to create a variable, what we can actually do is use the typedef keyword and create a shorthand name for unsigned long-long. So I can just go ahead right here and write out typedef, and then following this I'm going to have to write out the type that I want to create a shorthand name for. And the type that we want to create a shorthand name for is unsigned long long. So I'm just going to write out right here unsigned long long. And then following this I just want to write out the shorthand name, and instead of writing out unsigned long long every time I want to write out uint64, and this is just a common name for it. But basically the U stands for unsigned, int obviously stands for integer, and then 64 just says that there are 64 bits inside of this integer variable right here. So basically it's just the same thing. Now if I wanted to create a variable whose type was unsigned long long, instead of having to write all this out, I can just write out uint64. So I can just say uint64, and then I can go ahead and give my variable a name. I'll just call it myull for unsigned long long, and I'll just set it equal to some number. I'll set it equal to 5. Alright, and now if I just print this out, it should work fine. And remember, since this is actually an unsigned long long, I have to do %LLU. LL obviously stands for long long, and U means it's unsigned. And I'll end the line right there, and we're printing out my variable called myull. Alright, so now when I run this, I should just get 5 out onto the screen. Yep, perfect. And you can use typedef or type-define with any variable type. So if I wanted to right here, I could type-define car, and instead of writing out car every time, I could write out character if I wanted to. So character, and then I could just say character, my car, and just set it equal to some character. I'll just set it equal to A. Alright, so now I just need to print out my character on the screen, so printf %C for character, and the line, and printing out the variable called my car. Alright, so now when I run this, I should just get capital A out onto the screen. Yep, perfect. Alright, so basically, again, all that typedef does is it just allows you to create an alternate name for a type. So in this example, we just created an alternate name for this car type. So instead of writing out car, we wrote out character. Alright, so you're probably wondering why we use the type-defined keyword when creating structs, unions, and enumerations. Well, let's just go ahead right here and create a struct without using the type-defined keyword. So we're just going to say struct, my struct, and whenever you're creating a structure, a union, or an enumeration without using the type-defined keyword, you can go ahead and put the name right after the struct, union, or enumeration keyword. So here I just said struct, my struct, and then right here I can just create the body for it, and I'm just going to want to put everything that I want to store inside of my struct inside of here just like before. So inside of my struct I'm just going to have an int and a character, and then of course I still need the semicolon at the end. Alright, so here we just have a struct called my struct, and inside of my structure I just have an integer and a character. So if I went down here and wanted to create a my struct object, you'd think I could just go my struct, and I'll just call it ms, and try and run this, and I'm going to get an error. And that's because since we didn't use type define, what we have to do is write out struct right there. So we have to write out what type of data this my struct actually is. It doesn't know what it is since we didn't use type define. So now when I run this, it'll work fine. Yep, perfect. And if you really didn't want to use type define when creating your struct, what you could actually do is delete this for right now and type define it right here. So we can just say type define struct my struct, and we'll just call it my struct as well. So now instead of having to write out struct my struct, we can just write out my struct. So now when I run this, it'll work fine. Yep, perfect. And same thing goes with enumerations. So if I were to go ahead and create an enumeration, so I'll just say enum, and again I can just go ahead and name my enumeration right here. So I'll just say enum, my enum, and inside of my enumeration I'll just have two things. I'll have like box and car, and then I just need the semicolon at the end. And now if I wanted to create a myEnum object, what I'd have to do is write out enum and then write out myEnum. So write out my, and now I can give a name to my variable. I'll just call it me for myEnum, and now when I run this, it'll work fine. But if I were to delete this enum keyword right here and run this, it obviously wouldn't work. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial on the type defined keyword. So see you guys.